so we're just working on rebuilding these other two calipers, and we'll get these in, and everything's going along pretty smoothly so far. Probably shouldn't have said anything, but we will get it done. All right, all of the calipers are back together, and they came out pretty good. I'm pretty happy with them. So we can just set that project aside until we're ready for the brakes to go back on, and yeah, just moving right along. So I'm taking out my speedometer cable, and it's so rusted and corroded. I mean, look at that. It's absolutely insane. So I ended up having to cut it there because all of this junk was never going to get through that hole. So I ended up having to take a Dremel and cut through it. But even if the bottom hadn't broken, there's no way that works. So that definitely needed to be replaced anyway. So new speedometer cable going in. All right, well, the new speedometer cable is in. It was a little tricky. Really hard to see that the hole where it goes in up there. I mean, it's in a real awkward spot, my guess is, because this really doesn't get changed that much. But that's where it comes out right there. So there's a little hole that you got to feed it through. So what I ended up doing was taking long needle nose pliers and getting up there and pushing, and it finally got through. You just got to be careful that you don't damage the end of the line, but it's through, it's in. Another thing down. All right, another box showed up, and it is my new control arms and my new ball joints. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I can work on getting that bushing in, and I'll go ahead and get the ball joints on. Yeah, and then I could start rebuilding that stuff as soon as that grease shows up for the tie rods, or for the steering rack. All right, control arms came in, and control arms are put together. So, I mean, next is putting them in the car. I don't think I'm going to do that today, but so actually fairly productive day. I got the speedometer cable in. I got these done. I got my other two brake calipers built. Just kind of piddling around. So I am happy. I am. All right, so one control arm in, all good and ready. Went in fairly easy. So we'll work on the next one. All right, two control arms done. And I think everything's torqued down to specs, so all is working good so far. All right, more success. Two tie rods on. I still have to tighten down these nuts. I gotta look to see what they need to be tightened down to, but both of them are on. The only thing is I'm still waiting for that grease for that steering rack, so I haven't put the boot on that. So if anybody ever gets these types with this bushing, so they were different than what came off the car. But the boots were also different. The boots go onto these bushings and zip tie. And I was struggling, and I ended up using some of that on this one, and it slid right on. So don't struggle trying to get it on. Just put a little bit of that grease on there and it slides right on. And now it's nice and secure. So we will keep going. I guess the next thing is I got to get the bearings for the hubs redone and repacked, and then I can put the hubs on. So yeah, a lot done. Okay, so tonight I've got the starter out and I got the slave cylinder out. So we're going to start cleaning the lines, I think. So we're going to give that aerosol thing a try and see how that works. I don't know, those are pretty small, but that's what they were saying they used, so we will see. See if it'll work. Hopefully it does. Well, this stuff worked great. I mean, it went in through the lines and cleaned them out just great. I did some from up here down, and then from down up. And it works beautifully. So if you ever need to clean out your brake lines, this is the stuff to do. It worked absolutely wonderful. It was easy. I did only need one can. I only have about half a can, and I've done it a few times. So if you do buy it, just buy one can. I bought two just because I had to pay for shipping, so I was going to buy 2 cans. But it looks like everything is moving along. All right, so when I pulled the master clutch cylinder out, I pulled it off the shaft and everything and left this in. Went to take it out, tried to get this bolt to move, didn't want to move. But this was so much easier to take out. So, this is an 83, so I don't know if this is how it is on all of them. But let me go in and show you what it was. So, hang on.
All right. So this is where that piece was. And this, you just pull it out. Slides off. Out comes the washer, and off comes the part. So if you ever need to, that was it. And then it just pops back on. It's about as easy as it gets. So now I can work on getting that nut off outside the car, which is going to be much, much easier. Plus, then I can measure it. I marked it. But now I'll go ahead and be able to measure exactly the distance. So when I get the new one, I know what the distance is.
All right. So brake master cylinder is in. I am just waiting on this brake line still. Master cylinder is in. So I've got the slave cylinder out, the starter out. I'll have to put the slave cylinder in. And then I've got to switch out the back brake lines because I have bought, let's see where, okay. I bought those stainless steel lines that need to go in. So I still have to take the rear brake lines off. And yeah, I think then we can, I got to attach the master cylinder to the pedal in the underneath. And then I think we could start bleeding the system and see if I can push the clutch in. And then start it up and see if the transmission's good and if the clutch is good. And then the next thing will be tires. Oh, I got to do the emergency brake too. I got to rebuild that. So that needs to be done as well. So, yep. Moving right along. All right, so new slave cylinder is in. Everything is tightened up and buttoned up. So, trying Just tried to finish cleaning out the brake reservoir. I can't get that junk out. Tried some of the aerosol stuff and letting that sit in there, see if that helps at all, but just can't seem to get that stuff to come out. And then waiting on that brake line. Did find one, and I should have it next week sometime. So we will keep going. All right, so finally got the grease that I was supposed to get. So this is, according to the manual, this is the stuff that's supposed to go in the box. As you can see, it's Volkswagen and Audi, and so that's what they said to put in. So I did the last thing with the brake lines. I took those brake lines off of the rubber brake lines off of the hard line here. That was the last thing I was kind of worried about, hoping that I wouldn't snap it like I did the other ones, but they came off fairly easy, especially the driver's side one. So it wasn't even hooked in. I mean, I think it was turned in maybe 1 or 2 threads, and that was it. So no wonder why there wasn't any brake fluid in the car. My guess is that's where it all leaked out. So, but those are both off, so that's good. Now we can just go ahead and work on getting the steel braided ones on. Alright, so we also put the stainless steel line on from the hard brake line down to the rear brake here, and the same on the other side. So I've got, I'm assuming there's a clip. I can't find them. I don't know what I did with them. And I'm usually really good about putting parts in bags and marking them. I looked at my rear caliper boxes and I didn't see them. So I don't know what I did with those clips, but I would assume that there were clips for those. But I don't know, because I'm assuming that's where that goes. And the hard line probably goes through there, comes through here, and goes to the caliper. So, yeah, I will, I'll have to see. All right. Remember earlier I said I didn't know where these clips were, and I can't believe that I wouldn't put them somewhere or label them or something. Well, I did. They're inside the tape. That's where they are. So I did not lose them.